What is good, my people? Welcome back. Actually, this is gonna be the first one. It's gonna be my Lil Rishito NFL Draft Mock 2025. So, let's jump straight into it. I'm very excited to do this as the draft is edging around the corner. And man, just get us started with Tennessee Titans and Cam Ward. Cam Ward is not the best QB prospect out there, but he's much better than what the Texan the Tennessee Titans have right now. Will Levis is concerning, and the fact that Mason Rudolph was starting ahead of him, and they don't have him anymore, is even more concerning. You have to go Cam Ward here, even though I'm not high on the QBs in this class. Yeah, I'm not high on the QBs by any means. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is all that good either. But Cam Ward can be something one day. He's good enough to take you to the playoffs, and maybe more if you build the right team around him. Moving on here to the Browns. A lot of people think that Abdul Carter is the way to go, but I just have to take Travis Hunter. Man, the wide receiver cornerback is so much of a bigger need than D end is for the Browns because you already have Myles Garrett and a respectable defensive end and defensive line. You need to go Travis Hunter. Best cornerback, best wideout. You lost Amari Cooper. You have just Jerry Jeudy. You can't function on offense with just Jerry Jeudy. We'll ask questions of who's gonna throw the ball to him later. But right now, all we gotta know is Travis Hunter's on this team. Moving on to the New York Football Giants. There's obviously arguments for Shedeur Sanders, Mason Graham, Ashton Jeanty even, but I think Tyrone Tracy's done good enough job. Shedeur Sanders, I'm not a big fan of him at all. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is a great QB. That's why you just have to go with Abdul Carter. Even if they already have two good edges, you can boot out Kayvon Thibodeaux. He's not been good enough. And then obviously, moving on to the New England Patriots, you're like, oh, Will Campbell. I don't think Will Campbell's that good. Don't get me wrong, he's great as a guard. I don't. I think the length thing is taking a toll on the stock, and I agree with it. At this high of a pick, I don't think it's worth it questioning taking the risk if he has enough NFL length. That's why I'm leaning a lot towards Armand Membo. Armand Membo, right tackle. You know, he's not gonna get asked many questions, but he's gonna answer. Trust. I I just think he's safer. In the sense that in college Will Campbell might have been better, but Membo's proven at the position that he has length. He can be dominant in the run. Like very dominant in the run. Yeah, I just think it's a better pick. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jags. Their defense is absolutely atrocious in my opinion. That's why I'm not going to be taking an offensive pick here. And I feel like they genuinely might be able to do something under this new system. But they really just need to stop the run. Stopping the run is one of the most important things an NFL team or an NFL defense can do. If you're a defensive coordinator, you need to know how to stop the run. If not, you're not going anywhere in your career. Stopping the pass is just as important, but you got to stop the run first. It'll cost you everything to be like ran on. I know that as a Seahawks fan, trust me. Okay, moving on to the Vegas Raiders. I think this is probably the easiest pick I'll do, just because their system fits perfectly with Pete Carroll. The running back is going to be involved a lot on that team, and I feel like no better player than Ashton Jeanty, as Ashton Jeanty's probably top 3 running back prospect in the last 10 years. Might be a crazy take, but I think he's top 2, maybe even 1. Him and Saquon Barkley. Like, I don't think he's going to be better than Saquon, but, like, NFL wise, but I think as a prospect, he's arguably just as good, if not better, slightly. Just because the ability that he has to bounce off contact is amazing. It's something I haven't seen since Marshawn Lynch. Saquon can't even bounce off contact like that. It's mainly Saquon's like mix of elusiveness and strength. But for Gentry, man, you've seen Derrick Henry, but that's a big guy. Gentry's like 5'7". If I'm not wrong, I think he is 5'7" on the dot. And for a guy like that to be moving so elusively and bouncing off tackles, it's amazing. If you move on to the Jets, there's obviously a lot you have to assess, considering Devontae Adams is not there anymore. And I don't even really like the signing of Justin Fields. But one thing's for certain, he will not succeed in New York unless you give him another passing option except for Garrett Wilson. And I think the guy for that has to be Tyler Warren. He's amazing over the middle of the field. He can play in the slot. He can play everywhere. The run game's a bit iffy for him, but he can play everywhere. But then if we go on to the Panthers, I think the Panthers are extremely interesting here. Because a lot of people think wide out. Personally, I'm not one of those guys. Just because I feel like, okay, Jalen Coker's probably the weakest one out of the big three. The big three. But Jalen Coker's not bad. You know? Adam Thielen can not dominate, but he can run the slot. As we saw last season, he's great in the slot, man. Xavier Lee gets developing. Later half of the season, he was playing great. He's not a wide receiver one, but I don't see the value in taking Ted McMillan here. As I've seen him be mocked to, I just don't see the value. That's why I'm 100% going to be going edge, specifically after, the loss of Brian Burns. Don't know why it happened, but I know why it happened at the same time. But one of my favorite edge guys is Mike Green. Even though I feel like Jalen Walker would fit so well. Mike Green just has the measurables up there. The production even better. If I'm not mistaken, Mike Green has upwards of 15 sacks last year for Marshall. Some would argue the division's bad, but still. He's great, man. It's proven. And his measurables are outstanding. His bench press numbers are great considering. His bench press numbers normally are great, but considering that Mike Green is bendy enough as seen by the 3-cone time, wow. I'm genuinely, I thought Mike Green was going to be top 30 pick, for sure. I didn't think I'd put him in the top 10. But in a way, I've fallen in love with him. Pause. No diddy. I've fallen in love with Mike Green. Again, pause. As a prospect, him and Donnie Azaraku, man. Alright, moving on to the Saints. I don't really like Shedeur, man. I'll be honest, I don't like Shedeur. I don't think he's all that. But after seeing Derek Carr out for the season, it's concerning what the Saints are going to do with QB. But I feel like they have to take the risk. Because there is a risk worth taking in Shedeur Sanders. Instead of just playing him out with Spencer Rattler or getting a guy, like a veteran guy, just to fill the holes. Nothing great is going to come out of that. And Jackson Dart's too much of a reach here. Doesn't make sense. Aaron Rodgers, even though I don't think he'd be that bad there. But there's not much of a future with the Saints. So you just have to take the shot on Shedeur. If he works out, amazing. I'm not sure it'll work out the best. But if he works out, great. You found your QB. You can let Derek Carr go because of his contract. Spencer Rattler can back up. Bang. You found your guy. Moving on to the Bears. I feel like it's so sad that Ashton Jeanty did not make it to the Bears. Just how good that offense would be. Wow. I'm looking at Omarion Hampton here too. Just because, the running back spot's not defined, but I think it's deep enough. We're in the later rounds. The Bears can for sure go get a stud, just like Caleb Johnson. I love Caleb Johnson, one of my favorite guys in this class. Travion Henderson also, maybe second round. But mainly, I kind of think they need safety. Like their defensive line's sort of solved with Grady Jarrett coming in. They need safety, man. Like their secondary is good except for safety. And I'm between two, obviously Malachi Starks and Nicky Manwari. I feel like Malachi Starks will probably end up being the better safety, but Nick Manwari will end up being the better player. Like Starks will fill his role as a safety better than Manwari will, but Manwari has like a spark in him, freakish athleticism. The fact that he can bench more than Josh Simmons at around like 80, 90 pounds lighter, and he's fast as heck. Man, his coverage skills aren't bad at all, though. This is not like a pure athlete. He's a safety. That's why he's going to the Bears for me. Moving on to San Francisco. If I'm San Francisco, I'm like, oh, Will Campbell, no brainer. Falls into our hands, we need a line. But if we think about this for a sec, their offensive line's not that much of a need compared to, I think, cornerback. Because, man, look at cornerback. You're like, it's A-okay. No, Charvarius Ward is not. He is not a San Francisco 49er anymore. Deommodore Lenoir being your cornerback one's concerning, specifically in a division where you play the Seahawks and the Rams twice a year, where they have two great receivers. It's, man, the other guy's getting cooked. Lenoir might be able to hold himself down, but it's like, that's why you got to go Will Johnson here. I think there's a debate between Barron and Will Johnson, but Barron's a nickel guy. I think it's more important to secure the outsides because you do have Fred Warner helping out on the inside. And, man, like, it's so important to have a good cornerback group. And I think Will Johnson's insanely good. Obviously, so is Barron. It's just, I feel like the fit's not there. But Will Johnson's been slept on for some odd reason. Like, I feel like, in the way, it's a no-brainer. But it really is a brainer. Alright, going on to the Cowboys. Again, you'd be tempted to take Will Campbell. But, man, because, Zach Martin retired and all that. But it's not a good enough reason. Man, I hate to see Will Campbell fall. But the Cowboys need to take a receiver, or there will be riots in Dallas. Not just Nico Harrison at this point, it's Jerry Jones. Who knows, they might trade away Micah Parsons or CeeDee Lamb at this point. But man, you gotta get something right for the fan base to at least believe in you. And I think that's between Ted McMillan and Matthew Golden. I would do Ted McMillan. Actually, no, I would do Matthew Golden. It's just that you already got like your speedster type guy. And I feel like in the system, even though Brian Schottenheimer is the run first guy, you still need another guy outside of CeeDee Lamb. And I feel like Ted McMillan would work, just not just systematically, but also size wise in that offense. There's no big jump ball guy in Dallas right now. And I think even though McMillan's more than just a jump ball guy, they need somebody with that sort of stature. That's why Ted McMillan goes there. The Dolphins. The Dolphins are tricky. Because, honestly, if Will Johnson was here, It'd have been so tempting to take him because I love Will Johnson. Even Barron's tempting. But man, after losing Teron Armstead, you can't let Tua get another concussion. You just have to protect him. Because the only way I see them succeeding, not just long term, but also especially in the short term with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, after losing Teron Armstead, you need an elite tackle. And even though there is a lot of questions about Will Campbell if he can run the tackle spot, regardless, he can run a offensive line spot, and I feel like the need at O-line for the Dolphins is sneakily up there. It's sneakily up there for most teams. Obviously, there's teams like the Bengals, the Seahawks, that for sure need an offensive lineman, but I think that Will Campbell just goes here. It kind of fits. It feels weird that he's dropping down all the way to the teens, But, yeah. Moving on to the Colts. And the Colts, I think we're in a weird spot here. And personally, I'm probably going to elect to trade it. If I'm GM of the Colts, you already fixed your cornerback spot. You got Charvarius Ward from the Niners. Bang. You already have Kenny Moore. You have decent-ish cornerback in Juju Brents. Juju Brents, he's alright. He's not anything special, but you don't need to fill that hole right now. I feel like a glaring hole right now is the wideout spot, low-key, but more so tight end. Because they can kind of hold it down with Alec Pierce over there. Michael Pittman, when fully healthy, yes, he's an amazing receiver. And even, quarterback could be a consideration here. But I'm just going to trade it because, man, you got Colson Loveland. He's the ideal guy. I don't see a world where any of the teams ahead of the Colts take Colson Loveland. And naturally, you're going to trade because there's a lot more competition in this pick for another position than Colson Loveland. And the Falcons wouldn't take him, even though Kyle Pitts is... I don't want to talk about him. My fantasy team hurts from taking Kyle Pitts every year. Man, look, the Cardinals wouldn't take him. Trey McBride's amazing. Cincy, I don't think would take him. See, look, so we're gonna be trading it, alright? Seattle, iffy-ish, but it's not happening. Tampa Bay wouldn't do it either. That's why we're gonna trade. I'm thinking the Chargers here. Or the Bucks. Actually, no, the Bucks make sense. I think their edge need is a lot higher than what other teams need, because I do not trust Yaya Diaby or Joe Tyron Shoyinka much. Kalijah Kancey hasn't worked out, and I just feel like Jalen Walker would work. He'd get playing time. He would be effective instantly. And that's super sad, just because I feel like Jalen Walker would be so effective for the Atlanta Falcons, and it really is sad, just because I hope the Falcons get someone like him. But this is where, it's sort of iffy. Because I'm not sure, do they take edge or not? Linebacker still a need. That's why you should look at Jihad Campbell. Outstanding player. But I really like Donnie Azaraku. Donnie Azaraku's a stud. Michael Williams is great. So is Shamar Stewart and James Pierce. But I don't know. I just feel like Jihad Campbell would just, help him out, considering there's not much depth in this linebacker class, in my opinion. After Carson Schweshinger, it sort of falls off. So that's why we're taking Jihad Campbell. But you can find a late round edge that's a stud. It can be a stud. Like Jared Ivey, bang. He would work in there. But then, boom, we're going on to the Cardinals. Bang, Walter Nolan, easy. Need defensive interior. I trust Walter Nolan 10 times more than I trust Kenneth Grant. Because I don't think Kenneth Grant is all that. Bang, Walter Nolan, he's not a run stopper, even though stopping the run is necessary for that team. He can stop the run, and he's a great interior pressure guy. Walter Nolan's seriously going to be something in this league. And then we move on to Cincy. And this is really sad also, because I feel like Jihad Campbell would have fit so good in that offense. But defense is obviously the pick here. If you take anything but defense, you might be stupid. I'm looking at Malachi Starks. Because after Jesse Bates left this team, the defense hasn't been the same. Simple. Oh, my beloved Seattle Seahawks. If this happened, I'd be so happy to just swoop up Kelvin Banks. Even though we never take tackles in the first round, the one time we did, Charles Cross, it worked out great. Even though I don't see Kelvin Banks as a full-time tackle guy, he can easily play the guard if it doesn't work out tackle, and he has played guard in college, I think, a bit. But you take him just to play on the line. You need to put a just a not horrible body on the line, man. Guard, tackle, anything. The only position on that line that's locked down is Charles Cross. So that's why you just take Kelvin Banks. It's a dream come true if it happens. Alright, we go back to Indy. And boom, Colson Loveland's still there. You gain capital, but you keep Colson Loveland. Isn't that just amazing? Now for Denver, man, Bo Nix, great rookie season, took him to the playoffs. The team's a lot better than I thought it'd be, but you need another receiver, man. You can't leave Courtland Sutton by himself on that team. Like, running back's a shout, but you just gotta go Matthew Golden there. I feel like he'll fit really well. And then for the Steelers, I'm thinking QB, man. Aaron Rodgers will be there for 1 year, and I'm so tempted to reach for Jalen Milroe, just cause Jalen Milroe is such a good project guy, and with the coaches out there, even though the QB coaches aren't all that in Pittsburgh, the coaches out there, Mike Tomlin, with you just put Mike Tomlin as a coach with a guy like Jalen Milroe, I feel like it can work out. And if it does, oh my gosh, you're set so well. But I just have to lead more towards Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart's not a bad QB. He's not the best either. I wouldn't put him at 27. I'd put him slightly lower. But man, Jackson Dart's great. Alright, going on to the Chargers. I think the Chargers trade back here, man. I'm looking at Omarion Hampton maybe. And I see why you would want to take Omarion Hampton, but I see why you also wouldn't. You have Najee Harris. And man, I know this will never happen. Actually, no, I do see it. I see the Rams, because, bro, the Rams, I'm kind of iffy on them. It's a make or break year for them. Even though Sean Payton, the coaching job is so locked down there. I'm not sure about the corner, man. You just need a guy like Jahdae Barron. He will lock down the slot. He's not that much shittier. Smaller, not that much smaller. He's kind of small. Worse version, but he's still pretty good. Of Devon Witherspoon, who's one of my favorite corners in the league. But then, okay, we're going the Packers. Wide receiver, I don't care. You have a choice of a great edge rusher who's fallen into your lap between Shamar Stewart and Mykel Williams. I think it's almost a no-brainer you take one of them. I would lean more towards Shamar, but see, look, Emeka Egbuka wouldn't make sense. Just, you can't add another slot receiver to that group. And also, I do like Luther Burden, but just nah. You take Shamar. Not a big Shamar guy, but think he's still good. Vikings, boom. You take Kenneth Grant. helps on the interior, because your interior is not very good by any means. Then you go on to Houston. Houston's interesting here, because I do see a world where you take Josh Simmons, but I'm a big Josh Simmons critic. This is a real person, but I absolutely hate Josh Simmons, as I'm going to show you right here. Right around there, Josh Simmons has one of the worst pro day performances, I think, in history. Considering you're 6'5", 317, you're in a 5'4". It's not that horrible. Your bench horrible, but you bench 18? Man, like, where's Nicky Manwari? Because I'm positive Manwari benched more than 20. Yeah. Nicky Manwari ran a 4.38 and benched 20 on the dot. At 220 pounds. You got a guy who's 97 pounds lighter than you, and somehow you manage to get 2 less reps. I don't care about the injury. I do. But man, I just lost faith in him. Like, it's hard to lose faith in a prospect so much, because I genuinely thought Josh Simmons' best tackle in this class before entry. But man, this is abysmal. That's why there's no way I'm letting Josh Simmons go there. Speak of another tackle, Gray Zabel. You need versatility on the line after losing Laremy Tunsil. Great. Gray Zabel, I think, is a great prospect. Very versatile, too. I'm tempted to take Omarion Hampton here for the Chargers, just because, it's Omarion Hampton. But, man, as I said previously, you already have Najee. I see the need, but I also don't see the need, just because Najee's not, like, a solidified guy. But I feel like they do need to improve an element of the run game. I'm not sure what element that is, and I think a more important guy is take a guy like Derek Harmon. Just lock down the defense even more. The offense doesn't have any problems. Moving on. See, we got the Ravens here. Like, I think the Ravens would be somewhat deadly with an edge guy. But I was thinking maybe James Pierce, but no, man. Just Michael Williams, man. He's so big, he's so strong. Big paws, big glaze. I'm gonna stop real quick. Michael Williams is great, and I feel like it's sad because he would fit in so well in Detroit. But I think a guy who would fit in also just as well is Donnie Ezeraku, and I'm a big Donnie Ezeraku lover. As I'm gonna show, I think right there, Donovan Ezeraku. He didn't run the 40, but he has great bend for the size. He's 248 pounds, 6'2", compact, but man, he's stocky. He got some power in him, and man, he's proven. He has the stats to back it up. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think he has over 12 sacks for Boston College last season. He's not too old of a prospect. He did it in the ACC, not the best division, obviously. The Big 10, Big 12, SEC, but still. ACC, you got some solid teams against. And moving on to the Wizards. Oh, I'm stupid. I just say the Washington Wizards. I mean the Washington Commanders. You gotta take Hampton. Just because, you need a guy. You need a guy there. Like, they even stated they want a 3-down running back. And I'm not convinced in Brian Robinson, even though he's great. I'm nowhere convinced in Austin Eckler. I'm very convinced of Omarion Hampton. I think he's clearly the second best running back in this class. moving on to the Buffalo Bills. Like, I feel like they're in a weird spot, the Bills. Because there's not much you really can do with this pick. There's not going to be anything franchise changing. The offensive line's already the best in the league. You don't need to take Josh Simmons there. Please don't also. But you already got Joey Bosa and stuff like that. Joey Bosa, Gregory Rousseau. I love Gregory Rousseau. There's a debate on, James Cook. But I'm not sure, man. They need to fill the D-line, but I don't know if Tyleik Williams can do that at this pick. I know he can do it. But I don't know if it's too early to take him. That's why I'm going to be going... Oof. I'm not sure, man. I think I'm going to go trade. I know this will never happen, but oh my, please make it happen. Please, like I'm genuinely begging. We need the Seattle Seahawks. We need an interior offensive line. This is working so much to contend this year. If we trade back into the first round, get an elite guard prospect, or just an elite offensive lineman, fuck it, even anyone elite, it will boost the effort so much to contention, especially in the NFC West, which is somewhat not that good of a division anymore. I just think, man, it'd be so good if we end up with Tyler Booker, man. It'll help so much to contending. Tyler Booker, he's not an outstanding guard prospect, but man, he's great. He is very good, and it would help so much to contending. The Kansas City Chiefs. Josh Simmons makes sense, but no, just not happening. That's why I'm going to another Josh Connolly Jr. I'm not very high on Josh Connolly, just because I'm also concerned about his length. Just as Will Campbell, if I'm not mistaken, him and Will Campbell have a very similar arm length, even though Will Campbell's draft stock's taken the fall and his not so much. Josh Connolly's he's great. He's good. He fits Kansas City. Like, he really does fit Kansas City. But then I think this is one of the best picks and worst picks. It really depends how it goes here. James Pierce Jr. Man. James Pierce Jr. as godlike burst. First step off the edge. And losing Josh Sweat, it makes sense why you would need a guy to replace him. It's weird because I would never see a guy like James Pierce be an Eagle, but I feel like it'd work out, or it'd come crashing down. It's one or the other. Just because I've heard he's a locker room threat. He's not a good person, but who cares if you're a good person if you're good at football? Let's be honest. That's bogus, but still, he's great at football. And man, I think Nick Sirianni can handle him. You get Brandon Graham in there, even though I think he's retiring. Don't know if he's being affiliated with the team anymore. You get guys in there that know what they're doing. Coach him up to being, not just as a player, as a person. Coach him up to a good person. And he already has the potential of being a great player. And I know he will be a great player. I just feel like him as a person will sort of not ruin. It'll hold him back from being elite. But man, it's not like a project. It very much can just work out. And I think it has the chance of just working out. So, guys, this is going to be it. My first round mock draft. Official, 10 days away from the actual NFL draft. And as a Seattle Seahawks supporter, go 12s. I would be so happy if we used the picks that from getting Geno Smith. I'm pretty sure it's 52, which is the one we traded, into getting Tyler Booker. Like, getting 2 offensive linemen in the first round is a dream of mine, as also loving the position. It's, man, purely angelic. But that'll be all for me. I hope all of you guys enjoyed, and please comment down below any suggestions, any comments, any concerns of how I do things around here. Just because this is the first time me doing something like a video like this. But I really hope you guys enjoyed. Yep, and that'll be all for me.